All right, so that was a really quick overview of the overlays panel. So now let me dive deeper into each and every single one of these different options for the overlays, shall we? So let's go over to this main scene here, which is just a regular camera. And now these different types of buttons here are different types of overlays that you can add. So the first one here is an image overlay. So if I click on this image, you'll see that the Finder window opens up, and then this is where I can add any of the images. So for example, if I wanted to add that logo again, that fireball logo, I can add that and it shows up in the current scene. So that's the first way you can do it. You can go ahead and you can either, let me just delete that. You can go ahead and click this button, or you could go to your assets or your Finder window, and wherever that fireball logo was, you can say drag it either into the preview window, and by default it just drops it where you put it, or you can go ahead and drag it into the show in current scene. And if you have multiple ones there, you can actually change the layers. So remember that show in all scenes is going to be on top of everything that's inside of the current scene, and show in the background is going to be behind everything that's in the show in the current scene. And so if you have multiple things inside here, then the layers, the items that are higher on the layer in this listing will show on top of the things that are below it. So keep that in mind there. Now you'll see that I did happen to add this logo image, and you can see there's a white box around it. Now this is a transparent image. That's why you can see, my face behind just the outline of this. But really the image is square. It's just knocking out the transparency for it. Now, if I want to resize this image, I can go ahead and hover above any one of the corners or the edges. And sometimes it's a little bit tricky when you have transparencies, but you'll know that you can still click on it and drag it. And that helps you to go ahead and resize it. So you see even the sides are a little bit tricky. So I'd usually go to a corner and do that. Now, if you have a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can go ahead and put your cursor over an active pixel, so not a transparent pixel. So when it's above the active pixel, you can now scroll your mouse button or your mouse wheel down to shrink it, or up to enlargen it or embiggen it. Now that will depend on if you have reverse scrolling on or not. So you can do something like that. Or if you have a trackpad, you can go ahead and swipe up or down with two fingers on your trackpad, just as if you were going to be scrolling a web page, and that will change the size of that image itself. But notice that if you do that when your cursor is off of an active pixel and it's on a transparency, those scrolling or the swiping actions on your trackpad are not going to do a thing. So just keep that in mind, that you need to be physically on one of the active pixels in an image that has a transparency in order to resize it. I hope you're really enjoying this Ecamm Live Masterclass, because this has been an absolute joy for me to actually create. And the reason why is because I just love Ecamm Live, and I love the whole aspect of content creation, and I hope that you do as well. So please go ahead, leave some comments below. Let me know how you feel about this. Let me know if you have other questions about the specific topic that I'm sharing in this video. And another thing that I really want you to do right now is I want you to go ahead and scan this QR code or click the link in the description below, because this is where I'm going to be housing not only just this Ecamm Live Masterclass, but a lot of cool extras that are not going to be found on YouTube. So you have to register for absolutely for free in order to grab this content. It's in my member portal. So go ahead, scan the QR code or click the link in the description, and I will see you on the other side. Now, back to the regular show. Now, if you wanted to crop this image overlay, what you can do is you can go to one of the edges or the corners, but instead of just dragging your mouse like that, you're going to just move the mouse into place. You're going to hold down the Option key on your keyboard, and now you can go ahead and crop it. So if I just really want to get rid of this transparent space here, I can do something like that, and that way it's easier to grab some of the edges on this image itself. So you can do stuff like that. Okay, so that's how to crop, and that cropping, the option and click dragging on any one of the edges or corners is available for even video overlays. So for example, if I wanted to add a camera source over here, but I wanted to crop out the sides, I could either go into edit mode and say custom and then crop things out, but I'm always going to be centered. Or I can say, hey, hit the option key and crop in just the one side, right? Or just something like this. Now it looks a little bit funny. There's, wouldn't necessarily be doing it this way, but at least you know that I actually did crop that part of the image out. Okay, so that is that one thing there. Now you'll notice again, this camera is behind, or excuse me, above this logo, and that's because the camera overlay is on top of the fireball overlay, the image overlay. So if I wanted that fireball on top of this, all I can do is just drag it above, and now you'll see the different order of what this looks like.